Howdy folks, John Adamson with Seeking Light. Second video, just another topic I wanted to talk about. So Elizabeth Guzman, I don't know if I'm saying her last name correctly, but I believe I am. She is a delegate for the state house in Virginia. So, we have in the United States, we have representatives who represent a certain population within our state to the federal government. We have delegates in a house that represent a certain amount of population within Virginia. So we have Delegate Guzman, Elizabeth Guzman. She represents a Northern Virginia district. I don't remember exactly what district or what towns in particular, but very close to D.C. Elizabeth Guzman, I was going to do a special presentation about her because I found this case so compelling and it's made national news. I may still do it at some point, but she represents a very concerning trend. She is Peruvian by background. She immigrated to the United States as a single mother. She actually, quite impressive in some regards, where she worked 3 jobs when she got here. She got to the point where she put herself through school, became a social worker, works for the government, has a fairly large budget that she oversees, and of course now she's a delegate. So she's done a lot. She's also, I believe, she gave a rebuttal speech to a Republican presentation. She's met at least with Kamala Harris on some kind of task force thingy. So she's made a name for herself as an individual delegate for a state, and not the most populous state in the United States for sure. But anyway, what's concerning about Elizabeth Guzman? If you look at her website, she herself proclaims herself to be a progressive. And progressivism, just think massive, bleeding heart liberal, which is basically what progressivism has come to mean. But progressivism as a whole generally elevates human capacity to solve all world ills and moral evils, elevates a person to be able to do that. Whereas conservatives tend to trend towards being, ones that believe in God, believe ultimately that man is corrupt and evil, and given power will exercise that evil, either on a local or even a world stage. And therefore we must have proper moral laws to prevent that from occurring. So there's so much more to talk about between progressivism and conservatism. But one of the things that came out in the news within the last month is Elizabeth Guzman promised going into the next legislative session, and as part of her campaign, that she would seek to investigate and possibly prosecute parents who refuse to recognize the gender identity of their children. This was a bill that was put forth back in 2020 before the state legislature. And she sought to do this yet again with this upcoming legislature. Anyway, it made national news and rightly gained her some notoriety in not such a good way. And it's cast negative aspersions on some of her Democratic colleagues within Virginia, one of whom is running to continue her term as a national representative for Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, who had endorsed her. And Spanberger has kind of a tight race. She's definitely a liberal, even though she presents herself as being more moderate. But she votes 100% with Nancy Pelosi and 100% supportive of Joe Biden. So that gives you an idea. She's not remotely liberal, middle of the ground. So anyway, no doubt the Democratic Party has put the brakes on Elizabeth Guzman, and they've told her, no doubt, in no uncertain terms, you need to cut this out. So what came out in the news just in the last few days is that the Democrats in Virginia will not be putting forth a bill to support prosecution of parents who do not affirm the gender identity of their children. This is good, and the error at this point would be to say we've won. Well, no, we haven't, and we've seen routinely progressives lie for the sake of their agenda, where they say, we won't do this, and then they go ahead and do it as soon as they win office again. So after the election is where we can really test whether they're going to keep to their word, and I would not hold your breath. And if you're in Virginia, especially if you have any ability to vote in the northern parts of the state, I would definitely encourage you to shun Elizabeth Guzman and vote for her opponent, whoever it might be, because she represents the most radical of the Democratic Party that's dangerous for common parents. Even if you happen to be liberal, where you believe in allowing your child a bit more free expression, you would like to see them just follow their own proclivities. You know, if they come out. You're not going to stand in their way. A false accusation against you by a school, a teacher, the child who gets miffed with you one day and realizes they can get you in trouble just by saying you are suppressing their, quote, gender identity, could end up with a world of trouble for you. At minimum, a CPS referral. At worst, perhaps some jail time. Because one of the things that Guzman and those who support her have said is you could be facing felony charges if you violate this bill that, again, is temporarily been taken off the shelf, but will no doubt be put back on. And so she and those who are like her need to be stood against very strongly. There needs to be a resounding message that's sent within the local governments, state governments, the national government, that parents will not tolerate being prosecuted for guiding their children either away from or towards a certain lifestyle choice. And there's enough people that have commented on how allowing a child to do something like a transition healthcare, how much that is like child abuse, because it has lifelong ramifications. You allow that child to get, let's say, even surgery to alter body parts, it may forever prevent that child from ever having their own family. And most children who want to transition, I forget what the actual stat, but it's very high, will decide when they reach full maturity that, nah, that's not for me. And so if you allow them, before their brain is fully developed, before they have that fully developed prefrontal cortex, to do something that's life-altering to their body, they're going to be looking at a lifetime of regret. And it was your fault for not standing in the gap. But if it were up to somebody like Elizabeth Guzman, she wants that very thing. That life-altering change to occur that will impact that child for the rest of their life. And that's wrong, immoral. And so good on that not being on the table for next year. But it may, if you allow people like her to win. And it certainly will in the future. And so the fight must continue. The message must be clear. Not only don't mess with our children, but don't mess with my right as a parent to be the parent. Anyway, that's all I got to say on her. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Take care. God bless.